Well, good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us 10 a.m. here on June the 25th, 2023. We're live every Sunday morning from the Love 105 studios here in St. Paul for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill, and Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans. Scott and I are with the Minnesota Real Estate team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Thanks for joining us. Hope your weekend is going well. We're getting ready to go live on Love 105 FM. You can join us anytime by commenting on the social media stream, wherever you might be catching us, or calling 612-294-6949. Again, 612-294-6949. Mike, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Ryan.
Scott, nice to see you there, bud.
Yeah, good. Glad to be here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Like Ryan said, we're going to go live here in about 30 seconds. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us either on air or by text. And then also you can just type in the feed any questions you got.
Yeah, I hope your weekend is going well. Again, hard to believe we're almost at the end of June here. I've got a lot to talk about today, a lot with the real estate market, and we're getting ready to go live on air right now. Thanks for joining us. Well, good morning. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope your weekend is starting off well, is going well. June the 25th, 2023, and we are live here at Love 105 FM every Sunday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Every weekend, we're here talking real estate, mortgage. This is a local live real estate show that we broadcast on social media, all the different social media channels, as well as here on Love 105 FM throughout the week. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. And the show, too. If you got questions, comments, thoughts, a lot to talk about today. Scott, Mike, good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, morning, Ryan. Little tired this morning, so you'll have to forgive me. We were out at the Taylor Swift concert last night. the pre-party and the after party went deep into the night, so I'm a little bushed.
We were just talking before the show.
Crazy.
They said that was the biggest event in, I think they said the history of the Twin Cities, as far as the number of people coming to the Twin Cities, bigger than the Super Bowl. Pretty amazing.
Dang, really bigger than the Super Bowl?
That's what they said. Yeah, they said
500,000 people. I mean, I wouldn't. No offense, but I wouldn't walk from here to that wall to watch Taylor Swift.
500,000 people.
But people went crazy.
All the hotel rooms booked. Just they were talking about all the downtown. Everybody coming downtown for obviously needing lodging. Food, restaurants, bars, Facebook. I mean, just social media, seeing all the posts. Yeah, I mean, all ages, Mike. All ages were at the Taylor Swift concert.
So she's like single-handedly like keeping our economy going.
Pretty much.
So is that what you're trying to tell me here?
Well, and I think that there's been a resurgence of kids that are huge fans now. So it's kind of gone from all the the 25-year-old plus, and now there's this new group of, because all the kids were going. I mean, they were all dressed up and going out with their moms, and it's funny.
It's a phenomenon, Mike. It is a phenomenon, and
yeah, I heard she was in Chicago. She did 3 shows in Chicago. Every single one sold out. And I was running the numbers on the average ticket sale and how many people are in there and stuff. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh.
What is the average ticket sale?
Well, yeah, I don't know if you went to the Taylor Swift, or if you're watching on Facebook or any of the social media streams, if you comment. The thing about that, I mean, obviously she's such large scale. The interesting thing about concerts, though, is, again, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, a lot of expense to get really good people with the lights, the sound, the setup, all those types of things. Security for you,
right?
So
I used $400 for the average ticket sale, and that was the lowest price that any of the people that I know that went to the concert. That was the lowest price they paid. It was $400 and up from there.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. That's like rent.
I mean, that's
it's like rent.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's what my brother used to charge me in rent.
So if you've got you got 3 kids and you're spending $1,600 to go to a concert.
Just on the ticket.
Just on the ticket.
That's a lot of money. Hey, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're here every Sunday. We talk real estate, mortgage, and always welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. Driving into the show this morning, guys, it's just interesting to me, the companies that are out there. So I had a missed call at like 9 o'clock. It was a 612 number. I called the number back, and it was someone out of country with a pretty strong accent who had said, hey, Mr. O'Neill, we noticed you own this property on such and such address. Are you looking to sell? I'm like 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, the numbers of those calls, and I'm sure anybody else, I don't know, landlords, people that get those calls. I'm like 9 a.m. on a Sunday. You might want to tell them, hey, that's maybe not the best time to be.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. That is crazy. I mean, just the amount of spam calls that you get on a daily basis now is just, it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nonstop all day. I mean, I always used to answer my phone, never let things go to voicemail. But my God, you'd be literally answering these things all the time. So I do. I watch numbers I don't know go to voicemail.
Mike, you get a lot of spammers.
Well, it's the same thing on the mortgage side of things. I mean, you have your credit pulled by a mortgage company, you're going to get 70 calls over the next week from what's called trigger leads. So when you have your credit pulled by a mortgage company, the mortgage company doesn't sell your information or do anything with it. It's the company they pull credit reports through that can sell those lists to other companies that said, hey, this person just got their credit pulled by a mortgage company. They must be looking for a mortgage. So now mortgage companies are going to be calling all those people.
Wow.
So it's the same thing. Now there's actually a bill going through Congress right now that would make what they call trigger leads. That's a trigger lead. It would make that illegal. So the credit reporting agencies can't sell those lists of people that just had their mortgage credit pulled to other mortgage companies. So they get bombarded with all these calls. We're all hoping in our industry that goes through, because if you've recently gone through a loan pre-approval, had your credit pulled, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Well, and you think about it, just calling those, I mean, nobody wants that call,
Right.
Nobody wants, oh, thank you for calling.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Sunday morning at 9. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm glad you called. I have been thinking about selling here, and, I know you're out of the country, and why don't we meet up?
Or just
Let's meet up.
or what time do you eat dinner? About 6 o'clock. Give me your number. I'll call you back then. That's what I like to do.
What time you go to bed?
What time do you go to bed? I'll give you a ring then.
So here's your other random thought before we get into the stats. Did you know it is a federal crime to put something in someone's mailbox?
Yes.
So yesterday I was talking to one of my neighbors. We're walking and I saw a gentleman respect his hustle and ambition, but was driving along the road and putting flyers on all the sides of people's mailboxes. That's another one too, that you just, I don't know. And then of course when I got back home, there were like 3 of them blowing in the wind in our front yard. I don't know. It's just like, do you really want that? Isn't there a better way to do business? I don't know.
Yeah. It's it's, and we saw it. So as transactions go down, I mean, we see that, right? You see more of stuffy mailboxes, mailers, trigger lead calls. I mean, we see all of that. As the market swings back and more transactions starts coming, you're going to see that those types of activities will drop.
What's our mortgage update here in the first segment here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show?
So we spoke last week about how I showed you guys that candlestick chart, right? The red and the green, the ups and the downs.
Yep.
If you look at the last 6 months, the thing looked like an EKG, is how I explained it. If you look at June itself, so from June 1st to now, which is June 25th, it's kind of been a flat line. Rates have only moved either a quarter one way or the other over the last 25 days versus if we look at the previous 5 months to that. I mean, it was as low as 5.875, as high as 7.5. I mean, wild swings. So for almost a straight month now, we've been in a tight range where rates have really only moved about a quarter one way or the other. And so I'm curious to see what happens coming up here. But to be honest with you, it's kind of a nice little break. I even said before, it's like, I don't think rates need to get to 5 or 5.5. I think they just need to level off so people can plan accordingly, because the people that were out there looking at a house, it's like, hey, your rate today is 7%. 2 weeks from now, it's 6.25%, and then a week after that, it's back to 6.875. It was just bouncing around, and it's tough for people to plan on that, especially if you're looking for a house. It's like, what's my payment going to be on my price range I'm looking at? Now that it's leveled off, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, if you will, because it's predictable. So,
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. I think people are going to start. It's going to start to become the norm. But when it's volatile like that, there really is no norm. So I mean, if you start to kind of sit around that, 5.75, 6.25 range, people can, like you said, they can start to kind of plan. Where if you're going from 5.5 to 7.5, I mean, your mortgage payment just moved $1,200 a month.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, talking to Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. If you are recovering from the Taylor Swift concert and just having kind of a chill Sunday morning, we're going to share some stats here real estate-wise, what's going on in the Twin Cities. New listings this past week were down 15%. So 15% less new homes for sale came on the market. There were 1,573. Pending sales down about the same, about 15% year over year drop. Those are, again, accepted purchase agreements. And then the overall inventory down almost 9%, 7,224 homes for sale. And interestingly, guys, the median sales price decreased 1.3% year over year for the month of May to 370,000. Lastly, days on market increased to 38 average days on market, and that's an increase of 65%. Scott, we are seeing a lot of homes sell quickly, that are priced well, that are marketed correctly. We are seeing a lot of homes sit. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's the this last 90 days is probably one of the strangest 90 days I've seen, where depending on what development you're in, getting your number correct is so important. I mean, it's always important, but right now it is extremely important. So what you're starting to see are these listings that are just getting a little bit more aggressive, trying to get an extra 15 grand. And then all of a sudden they sit for 2 weeks. And a lot of people don't understand that you have a certain grouping of people. So when you list a house, so I list a house, for example, at $550,000. Okay, there's a group. Now that might be 3 people, 5 people, 20 people, 15 people, whatever, that are in the market currently that are looking for your price point. So when you put it out, 550, you get this flurry. 7, 8, 9 people go through. Everybody feels good. Oh, we're getting activity. Now they pass. Nobody writes on it. That activity does not continue like that. That is your group. They've been through it. They've seen it. They've said, you know what? We don't like the pricing typically, and they pass. A lot of people think, well, we can always reduce it and they'll come back. I've been doing this for 25 years. Maybe on one hand, can I think of someone that actually came back and bought a home that they already saw because of a price reduction? That's not how it works. They've already discounted that home. They're not interested in it. So a $25,000 price reduction does nothing. And so it's very important that grouping of people, whatever your grouping is, that you are dialed in on that price, because that's your offer group. Once they pass, now you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show throughout the week too. Again, questions, comments, thoughts. We are always here for you to help with any questions at all. It's interesting, Mike, again, have you seen any refinances? I mean, any refinances going on?
The only 2 situations where we see refinances right now is A, doing a cash out, right? So one particular, actually doing 2 cash outs right now. One is a divorce situation. So that's the other situation too, a divorce where you got to get someone off the loan or, in title and things like that. So that's number 1. Number 2 is cash out. In this particular case, they got to do a cash out refinance to pay out the ex. I got another one going on right now where parents own the house free and clear. They're doing a cash out refinance so they can gift their daughter $100 grand to put down in their house. And so it's either it's cash out or divorce situation. That's the only refinances that I'm seeing right now happening.
Yeah.
And last year, if you can think, how many did you do?
refinances.
Yeah, refinances.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago
Sorry,
was
2 years ago.
2 years ago was crazy. I don't. It was nuts. I mean, typically my business, I'm a heavy purchase business. I was typically 80 to 85% purchases, and then 10 to 15% refinances. In the COVID years, I was closer to probably 65% refi, 35% purchase, which it's never been like that for me in my business at all. And then right now it's 98% purchase, 2% refi.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Again, 612-294-6949. We're up against our first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are looking forward to the rest of the show. A lot to talk about today, guys. Again, 612-294-6949. We'll be back after the break. Thanks for joining us, Mike. We had a question again. Are we seeing any FHA loans get accepted and done? Any of your deals?
It's tougher. It's definitely tougher. Are you seeing some spotty? Spotty right now. I got one guy that's FHA only. I think we're on offer probably 10 or 11 probably with him. Don't have one accepted yet. He made another one yesterday.
Okay.
So hopefully that's the ticket, right? Hopefully this is the one. But it's been a tougher road for him for sure. So if you can go conventional, that's going to for sure help you. But if you got to go FHA, just, you got to stay in the game. That's the thing. You got to stay in the game, take enough swings, you'll eventually hit a home run.
Hey, I had some comments here. I just want to, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, Scott. A few comments. Good morning, Susan. Thanks for joining us. Adam, good morning, gents. Looking forward to the show. Adam McIntyre Barn. Again, he's the owner of Nordy Photography. Awesome company, great company. Fellow agents, be sure to check out Nordy. Great company. Alex Zauner, good morning. He said downtown was crazy busy.
Not bad.
Alex was downtown. Nathan Opatz. He's got a great company called Apartment Cash Flow. Does a lot of the multifamily here in the Twin Cities. A really great company Nathan has. He says, good morning, team. He said, I was that realtor 20 years ago that put marketing packets in mailboxes. I learned very quickly that was illegal. I was young and dumb. Mike Wright. Hey, good morning, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Awesome mortgage professional. Love the work that you do, Mike. And then we also had a comment say, I just got an FHA accepted, but out in the boonies. LOL.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And I was just thinking about your client and just how frustrating that is. You're excited. You want to buy a house. You go out and you literally can't buy one. It's offer after offer after offer, and you're just like, golly.
We can tell right now he's getting a little worn on it.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell that it's kind of like maybe I should just do another year lease and try again next year. Like we're starting to get that feeling from him, so we're encouraging him to stay in it because it's still better to buy than rent. But if that ends up being the case, it ends up being the case. But yeah, so just you got to try to stay positive though.
Yeah. And one suggestion I would say is keep active. And then also we are going to be coming up in October, November, December.
Right.
And so, I had a bunch of people lose track of my years. I think it was 2 years ago where I had to do that. There were some FHA and some minimum down. And I just said, let's regroup in August. And it's a different ballgame, at the end of the year than what you're competing with right now.
Good morning as well. Scott Vandahar, a friend, a longtime client, a wonderful guy, fellow investor as well. Good morning to Scott as well. Appreciate everybody joining us wherever you're catching us on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. A lot going on in the market and a lot to talk about. Bill Ebert, good morning, Bill. Thank you. Thanks for joining us here as well. We did have a question as well come in about a short sale and what's considered a valid hardship for a short sale. Mike, any thoughts on that?
What's a valid hardship?
Yeah, for the seller, what's a valid hardship for someone to do a short sale?
Ooh,
That's so dumb.
it depends how you write your letter, right?
The hardship is I can't make the payment anymore. And so, for those that don't know what a short sale is, you're going to go to the bank and say, look, I owe more than my house is worth less than what I owe on it. Will you take less? They always made such a big deal out of that hardship. Basically, if you're not making your payment anymore, you're going to go through a short sale. You're going through a
loss of job.
Yeah.
Divorce, medical issues, medical payments. We're going back live on air, Love 105 FM. Thanks for joining us. Top of the morning to you here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. As you're recovering from the Taylor Swift concert, come listen to Scott Wolmering and hear what Scott has to say. Scott could maybe give a commentary on last night's concert. You could write a little detailed report of sorts, Scott. I was going to open the Star Tribune to see what you had to say.
So I was going to ask something. So at a Taylor Swift concert, do they still have like alcohol and stuff, or is it just like candy canes and cotton candy
Juice boxes.
and juice boxes?
That's
I
terrible.
mean, could you get a beer, or is it like
Oh, I think so.
it's like pink beer?
No,
It's like a colored beer.
Hey, we did have a question come in and again, 612-294-6949. You can comment on social media, or you can call us or text us about short sales, asking about what is a valid hardship. The guys were just saying, Scott's point is, hey, if you can't make your payment, that's a hardship. Essentially, with a short sale, again, the bank is agreeing to take less than what is owed on the property to avoid getting the home back in foreclosure. And actually, I've seen a couple guys in this market. I had another agent this week message me saying that they have a situation where we need to look at doing a short sale. A lot of times, whether they've put a second mortgage on the property,
That's what I was gonna say.
something to kind of pull out a lot of money, because right now we're at almost a historical high for equity that
Yeah.
people have in their homes.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In order for there to be a short sale situation, I was thinking what would be some of it could have been an upper bracket property that just hasn't appreciated as much as some of the stuff in the 400 or 500 range. But yeah, it would be in a unique situation where you wouldn't have equity. One other thing that people don't know about a lot of times is once the sheriff sale happens. So if you're going to try to do a short sale, some cases they'll still move forward with doing the sheriff sale. You always want to check what that number is, because that number at the sheriff sale becomes your new starting point to sell your house. And so what I mean by that is if you owe $250 on your house and the sheriff sale comes in at $195, okay, you don't have to pay the $250 off. You have to pay the $195 off.
Yeah.
And so if your house is worth $230, you now literally can sell your house, besides some of the attorney's fees, take the money out of it. And it happens quite a bit. Banks don't want it back. And so a lot of times you'll see that sheriff's note being closer to what your value is.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of agents, investors in our market that do a lot of work with that within that 6-month period. But yeah, just know that there is potential to do something during that time period. Short sales, Mike. How was, again, we talked about down 15%. So home sales, pending sales down 15%. Do you think mortgages, are you down that much more? Thoughts?
I would say, well, on the purchase side of things, yes, we're down about that same amount. On the refinance side of things, you're down 95%, whatever, because there's no refis going on. So if you look at total loan volume overall, because mortgage companies have purchase loans and refinance loans going on. Yeah, we're 15% down on purchase loans this year, but we're 95% down on refis. So total loans, you're down what, 40%?
Yeah, I just talked to another brokerage. I won't name their name, but they're down almost 50%.
Yeah.
Almost 50. And I think most are down 30, 35%, but almost 50% in sales year to date.
Yeah, again, definitely an interesting time as you're a buyer out there, as you're a seller here in the Twin Cities. Pricing is super important. Marketing obviously is very, very important as well with your home for sale. And we received a few comments about the stuffing of mailboxes. That's a hot topic. No stuffing of mailboxes. People don't want their mailbox stuffed, and it's illegal, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's what I found out. Well, I already knew that this week, but it got reiterated this week when I know some of those team emails are going around about it.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us throughout the week. Scott, as we move to the last few months, what do you think? What are you seeing in the market with some of your clients, buyers, sellers?
I've seen an uptick, again, and some of that can just be personally. So personally, there's been an uptick in the last couple of weeks, but we've been kind of predicting this all year that we were going to be down, the 30, 35%, that we were going to have a strong end of summer into fall. And I do believe that's the case. I think that people are going to get used to the 6-ish interest rates. They're going to understand that that's more the norm. And if we were to see any kind of a dip, let's say we dipped into the high fives in August, I think that you would see a pretty aggressive run at that point, because I think there's a lot of people on the fence that have been kind of doing the dance that would be more involved. So I think we're going to have a strong end of the year.
Mike, thoughts?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I even got new construction clients that signed, purchase agreements in January, February that are closing in August, September.
Yeah.
Because that's how long it's going to take to build their house. And early January, February was like, yeah, rates are going to come down. We don't want to even talk about locking because rates are going to come. We know they're going to come down. This and that, blah blah blah, right? So now we're almost to July. We're 6 months into their build cycle, and they're going to be closing in 3 to 4 months here. The one guy reached out to me. He's like, yeah, I'm not so sure my initial thought was right, because he thought, by the time I'm closing on my newly constructed home here in August, September, I think rates are going to be in the mid fives. He's like, I don't know if that's going to happen anymore, right? And so now he's like, do we start looking at locking now, or what does it look like? And so then we had that conversation of what it looks like now and what we should do here. But I think you're right. If rates do come down and we do see rates starting with a 5 and it holds for any amount of time, right? It's not just a couple days and bounces right back out.
Yeah.
We're going to see a flurry for sure.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949. Stephen commented, thanks for listening to the show. You went to mnrealestateshow.com, filled out a form, and just said, my neighbor listed his home lower than market value and then held on to offers for 2 weeks last year. Is this a good idea in today's market? I would say no, because again, in the purchase agreement, there's something called time is of the essence. When that offer is submitted, within a reasonable time frame, those agents need to be communicating and getting back to each other on the offers. Scott, waiting 2 weeks for something, that buyer is going to become very irritated, very frustrated, and going to say, look, this is ridiculous. You need to get back to me.
Yeah, buyers. I mean,
Buyers, sorry.
and multiple offers like that. And so there's two parts to that question. They price the home a little bit below market value. Is that smart? Absolutely, that's smart. That is any top listing agent will tell you. That's the trick. Is you want to get just right, a little bit below value, as long as, especially if you're in key search criteria. So, for example, the house is worth $515. You listed at 5. That's perfect list price.
Right.
Because you're going to accumulate many more buyers at 500 than you would if you were at 500,000 and a buck, and you're going to end up surpassing that 515 because of the volume that you drive on it. So that part's smart. Any listing agent that would hold purchase agreements for 2 weeks is just a knucklehead. Not only for them personally, but it is a detriment to the seller. People are going to get mad. They're going to walk away. You're going to lose people. That would really, really surprise me. And again, if it's your neighbor, you know what he did. But I've heard this before, and a lot of times, maybe they held it for a couple days, accepted an offer, and then they had an inspection over 10 days before it's wrapped up. I've never heard of a listing agent holding. I mean, the agents would lose their mind. I mean, they'd call the Commerce Department in 2 seconds, and 2 weeks is just way too long.
So that's under the assumption that it's like, I received this offer and I'm just holding it. I didn't have anything on the listing saying we're going to review offers on this day at this time with my sellers or anything like that. So what if you listed a house and you made it aware to those buyers agents that, hey, I'm going to present offers to my seller on this day and this time, and let's say it's 2 weeks down the road from when it goes live. Is that something that you could do, or is that still kind of just like what do you
No,
do?
I mean, yeah, you can do anything. I mean, if your seller directs you that that's what they want to do, I just, in no way do I understand the value in that. You're going to lose people because they're going to get mad. Besides that, they want to buy a house. Other houses are going to come on the market in 2 weeks, and so they're going to write on something else.
Well, and
So-
there's only so much of a price that you can get for the home, because again, most buyers are going to need an appraisal. And I think sometimes people forget that, let's keep going up. but again, most buyers, unless you're cash, you're getting a home appraisal. So there's got to be the value there. So you're just hurting yourself by doing that.
You are, and also, 10 offers is when you're going to start to see about 3 or 4 of them kind of crunch together. 20 offers, it's the same thing. You just have 6 of them that crunch together. So it's not like if you have 20 offers instead of 12 that you're going to get another $25,000 for the house.
They were crunch.
So it's a real estate term. So a lot of times, once you get to 10, 12, 15 offers,
Hey,
the number is going to be there.
are we seeing low appraisals, Mike?
Let's see, low appraisal. I'm trying to think here. Have we had a low appraisal come in recently?
What percent have been crunched?
It's still spotty. It's not like it's common at all. It's still spotty. I think if I look over the last 3 months, I've maybe had 2 come in low, probably, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
So still not seeing low appraisals really come into play that much or be an issue.
Yeah, again, we're at the halfway point already of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. In the second half of the show, we're going to cover a few listings to feature as well. Good morning to everybody on social media as well, joining us. Or if you're listening at Love 105 FM, we do appreciate it. Again, throughout the week, MN Real Estate Show is how you can catch us. If you're a buyer, seller, investor, we've got a new button right on the top of the website that says Your Home Value. It's kind of a cool tool to follow your home value over time with current market conditions. Something new that we started here this year. You're welcome to fill one of those out as well to just track that. Again, it's a local tool, and we're happy to be offering it to everybody. 612-294-6949. We'll be back after the break. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And hope your weekend is going well. June 25th. Got the 4th of July coming up. Is that next weekend already, guys?
It'll be a week from
25th.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
A week from Tuesday is actually July 4th.
Okay. It's coming up, Mike.
It is.
Mike has his big party, the biggest party of the year. Right, Mike?
Yep, it is.
Tell people about it.
It's coming up. So it'll be this Saturday. So July 1st, Saturday. We have a big outdoor party at our house. So we have a food truck come in, ice cream truck. We have a big blow up water slide. We got fireworks. We got music. So we have a bunch of people come over and spend the afternoon and the night at our place, and everyone has some fun.
Yeah, it's been fun every year. Kids love it too.
Scott, are you gearing up?
I'm gearing up. I'll be there with bells on.
Yeah,
Is that still a saying? Bells on? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Bells on, indeed. When we think about from a decluttering standpoint, had another comment, decluttering my home prior to listing. Scott, do you do that on a lot of your listings? Do you encourage them? Do you have a stager consult on that?
Yeah, I have a stager come in on every one of my listings, and typically it's not for a full stage. Typically it's for a consultation report. So the stager will go through every room, and then they give them a room by room analysis. Take this down, move this couch here, put this plant over here, blah blah blah. And but I think that is probably, if people ask a lot of times, what's the major thing they can do? Major thing they can do is declutter.
Yeah.
That's where the majority of people, it's one of those things. You live in a place, and then all of a sudden you got to pretend like you don't. I mean, that's the reality when you're selling it. So 1 or 2 things on a coffee table, 1 or 2 things on a mantle, your blender and your toaster and everything else. Put it underneath the cabinetry. Get everything clean. I always say, if you really want to take a look at it, go to a model home and see what it looks like. You'll have 2 magazines on a coffee table. You'll have 1 lamp. I mean, it's not like a lot of stuff. And then, the other question that comes up all the time is, should we take down our personal pictures? And Ryan always hates this answer, but if you're a good looking family, no, if you're not attractive.
So bad.
I'm just saying.
Sometimes you can tell in homes, though, almost when they're fake pictures. You see like the family.
Yeah.
And you're just wondering, is that really them? You know what I mean? They're all just like all American, good looking. You're just like, is that a real picture, Mike?
All in the white t-shirts. I love the white t-shirt ones.
Yeah.
The interesting stuff.
So here's a comment on that.
Yeah.
Because people are like, man, like that seems like a lot of work, whatever, blah, like maybe they don't want to do it. But you got to remember, if you listen to your real estate agent and you do it right, hopefully you got one weekend of showings, you got all the offers you want to ever will get on there, you accept the offer and you're done. So
Sure.
if you listen to your agent and you do it right, it can be a short term, maybe a 1 weekend deal, and then boom, your house is sold and you're good to go.
Well, and you know what is the most curious thing with that? So if I have a family with 5 kids, five small kids under the age of 12, and the house is worth 500 grand, and they want to go to 535, and you just go, but it's human nature, because they still, in their mind, if they don't do that, they're going to get less for their property, even though we know it's the complete opposite. But more importantly, you're playing a game that is going to delay your time on market. You're still going to get 500 because that's what it's worth. Not going to get 535, but you're going to spend 3 weeks learning that hard lesson, having to get 5 kids out of the house, clean up their stuff, get them back in, do it again. But I run into it all the time, and it's like they'll spend 3 weeks, then they'll go to 500, then it'll sell, and then they move on. But I don't get it.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, I mean, that's why you work with the real estate agent that you trust. They're going to tell you, here's how you make it the easiest on you, the lowest stress, and here's how you get the highest number for your house. Okay.
Average
So just-
time on market for a real estate agent, their personal house, what do you think that is?
I don't know. It's a good one, Scott.
4 days.
4 days.
4 days, at least that's what it was years ago.
Okay.
So, and what that means is that people that are in the industry that get it, they know that if your home is not sold in the first 4 or 5 days, you're getting less money. You missed your number.
Yeah.
But it's hard for people to understand that, but that's the truth.
4 days. When you sold your home in Lakeville, what happened?
1 day.
1 day?
1 day. I don't think we've gone, well, I should say offers in the first day. I think we looked at them after like day 2 or 3, but I'm trying to think of all the homes that Andrea and I sold. I don't think we went more than 2 or 3 days on any of them.
Top of the morning to you. Thanks for joining us. We're going live on Love 105 FM. Hope your weekend's going well. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us. Very much appreciated. And again, 612-294-6949. Wanted to just touch on a quick topic before we hit a few listings. Recently, I'd say in the past month, I've seen some social media postings regarding some friends at different agencies, brokerages, different companies. And I saw one recently, Scott, that was a really disparaging post about the agent, and it was from the buyer's perspective. So they were the buyer of the property. This agent was the listing agent representing the seller. And it sounds like the total deal went south. Basically, the seller ended up not doing what they had agreed to do in the purchase agreement and the transaction. And naturally, the customer was very upset, or the buyer was very upset.
Buyer was very upset.
And what happened is this post was kind of a long hit piece on this agent.
The listing agent.
On the listing agent. And I think what people sometimes forget is that when you're hiring an agent, he or she is communicating on behalf of the buyer or the seller, but they're not actually doing the deal. So in other words, they're not actually buying or selling. So in this case, we know the agent, a very good agent, really was kind of unfairly thrown under the bus by the buyer, who clearly didn't understand the transaction, Scott.
Yeah, and that's where I'd called Ryan right away when I saw it, and I actually called this agent and his wife, and they're a husband and wife team, and they're an exceptionally good agent. Not only exceptionally good agents that watch out for their clients, but ethically one of the most ethical people I've met. So it was a really bad thing, and basically this client was calling them a liar, and that they hid things. And basically what it was, the seller was responsible to do quite a bit of updates that they asked for, things out of the inspection, etc. And they didn't do it. And so the buyer ended up walking away, and of course is upset because they're out a couple $1,000s for expenses and appraisal costs and whatever, and then didn't move on. But they turned the anger towards these agents. And of course I immediately read it and say, well, that's not their client. They represented their seller. You can't make your seller do anything. And so I just thought it was unfair. And it brought me back to what we were talking about last week, Ryan, where it said, 19 or real estate agents were on the bottom of being the most untrusted, just above car salesmen. And that was my immediate thought, was that people that don't understand that there's two sides to a transaction, who you represent. And so if you're a buyer that believes you overpaid for a house and you shouldn't have paid that much, and you're angry at the listing agent for causing you to pay more than you should, understand that's the listing agent's only job. And to a point where they can lose their license if they don't work in the seller's best interest. It's not for you to get the best deal as the buyer's agent. And so to turn around and shred somebody on the internet, I just thought was completely unfair. I just felt really bad for this guy.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to understand as a buyer or a seller if you haven't done it in a while. It's hard to understand again when agents are involved, and brokers, they're representing those customers through the process itself. But I think people forget, and I think as agents too, sometimes we've seen where agents take too much liberty to make the decisions on this and saying, "Hey, Scott, that was a really bad offer you just sent me. My seller's not even going to look at it." Well, the reality of it is, I, as the listing agent, have to present it to my seller and then give you the response. It's not my decision to make on that. So I just think sometimes there's some lines that are crossed a little bit through the process.
Well, yeah, and if you've done this job long enough, trust me, sometimes it is a pride swallowing
Sure.
to make sure that you are representing your client, because it's not like we don't know when you've got an extremely difficult client. And so sometimes it is a pride swallowing thing that you have to do. But at the end of the day, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients, and we've got to represent them as best we possibly can.
Yeah, I got a buyer that I'm working with right now that it was a listing at 289.9, and they went in at 260 with 10 grand in seller pays.
Okay.
It's kind of like-
So 200, so $30,000 under the market value.
So the seller would net 30 grand under their current list price.
Was it a new listing?
It was a new listing.
So new on the market.
Yeah, new
okay.
on the market, with just within a couple days, and that's the offer they made. And I already knew what the answer was going to be, right? And so the buyer's agent then called me, because I called him and I said, "Hey, just to do my courtesy, hey, what happened with their offer that they made?" And he's like, "Well, I think you already know." And I was like, "Yeah, I figured that." But but it's one of those things where this buyer's agent knew there was no chance. There's no chance that gets accepted by the seller, but he still put it together and made your offer. He's like, "Look, I will do what you guys want me to do as the buyer. That's my job." So he put the offer together. He submitted it. He already knew that there's no chance it was going to get accepted. But to your point, that's what they do. Agents do what their clients, wish, and try to guide them the best they can.
Yeah. Before the break, if it's okay, I wanted to touch on, we've got a couple listings. Ashley Hineker with the Minnesota real estate team has one, Scott, in Jordan, 916 Hope Avenue. And there's going to be an open house today, Sunday, from 12 to 2. And Ashley says it's an incredible one-owner property. It's on a large corner lot, very mature trees, landscaping, sprinkler system, has an open concept main level. It flows from the kitchen to the living room with 3/4-inch oak hardwood floors in the kitchen, dining, and foyer. It's got GE stainless steel appliances, a very nice 2-level deck, 2 patios, usable yard. Lots of nice updates, including new roof, central air, water softener, microwave, blinds, stamped and stained concrete patio. Again, check this listing out. This one, just a very nice looking property here as I look at it here, guys. Again, Ashley Hineker has this one listed. Scott, Jordan, it's 4 bedrooms. Have you been down to Jordan recently?
Not, I did. I had a swing there where I was doing a lot out that direction. I haven't been there probably in the last year or so.
Yeah, check this one out again. 916 Hope Avenue in Jordan. A very nice looking property. The other one I wanted to mention is in Prescott, Wisconsin. And this one is listed at $555,000. Scott, in Prescott, Wisconsin. And the property itself, she says, is country living at its finest, only minutes to the East Metro. It's a custom built home, over 8 acres of woods on this. And it's got a hunting, she says, a hunting paradise just outside your back door with a food plot, pond, and trails, trophy white-tailed deer, and other wildlife throughout the property itself. Again, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms for this property. A ton of great updates on this one. Again, very close to the Twin Cities. It's $555,000 for that property. That's W12516 580th Street in Prescott, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Yeah,
Those are both Ashley.
Yep, Ashley Henniker with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, Remax Advantage Plus. We're at the 3-quarter break. We'll be back here. We got a couple other questions that came in by text at 612-294-6949. Thanks for listening to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend's going well, everybody. The last segment here of the show. Scott, do you think we're going to see a little bit more of a push now? Pending sales have been down 15%. Earlier in the year, they were down 30%, 35%, 40%. Do you think we're going to see a little improvement with those numbers here, July, August, September?
I do. Year over year, I think our fall is going to be stronger than it was last year. So I think we're going to probably see those numbers cut in half. I think we'll be, maybe down 5%, maybe 7%, something like that. But I think it's going to start tightening up because I do think we're going to have a strong late summer fall.
Yeah, Mike.
Yep, I think so too. It's people are on the sidelines long enough just to see how things are going to shake out. I can wait a few months to see if interest rates go down. I can wait a few months for this and that. We kind of all know it's kind of here. It's here to stay. So that mindset, I think, is starting to leave. It's like, hey, here's the norm. Waiting's not going to do anything for us, right? So now it's more of a lifetiming thing. It's my lease ends up on this date. So I need to close by this date and stuff like that. Versus kind of holding back and just waiting to see what happens.
Here's one tip again for real estate investors. I know a lot of times we have investors who listen to the show. I would encourage people every year, maybe every 6 months, to do a property check on the property. I've met a lot of investors who will purchase, and then if they have a good tenant in there, won't do anything for a long time. I think doing again, it sounds totally simple and basic, but a regular check is a way to ensure things are good, instead of waiting 5 years or 10 years or longer where you haven't done sort of a lot of the ongoing maintenance things. Now, the city, oftentimes with a rental license, they may require that. Not all cities do though, Scott.
Yeah, and I would think that it'd be one of those things where if you had a tenant in there for 5 years, I mean, obviously, paint, carpet, things like that are not going to be how they are. And I'm surprised more tenants don't actually want to, if they're living there that long, don't want it kind of taken care of while they're living there.
Right.
Yeah, could that's what you do?
Yeah.
Try to at least every.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's why from a property management standpoint, Scott Fisick, one of our partners with rental management guys, he does a really good job of doing those ongoing checks. Because again, I think it can be easy to just set it and forget it versus doing that ongoing maintenance. Because again, everybody lives at a different level of what they expect, maybe for the home conditions, updates, that kind of thing.
Do you find that your tenants like that?
Absolutely.
More than not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's just it may seem like a common thing to do as a landlord. But I find a lot of landlords who don't do it, and they'll just let it go for a long time.
Sounds like you could have an issue,
right?
So, I mean, it's letting it go, right? You have one little thing that you can nip in the bud right now and be done with
Right.
it, versus then it gets worse and worse and worse, and
There was a movie I always used to tell my clients that we're going to get into being a landlord that I think every landlord should watch, and I'm going to forget the name of it, but you'll remember it. It had Michael Keaton in it. And it was a duplex in San Francisco. What the heck was that? He shows up in his Porsche and his $2,000 suit, and his accountant didn't wire his money, but he really needs to get in. So, they let him in.
Well, they let him in.
Well, once they let him in, they couldn't get him out. And so he basically just trashed the place, never made a payment. Pacific Heights.
Pacific Heights.
Pacific Heights.
You're good. Scott's good with his shows.
Everybody should watch that before you buy your first investment property.
Don't let them in
Don't let
unless
'em
you
in.
get first month's rent and deposit.
That's right.
That's one of my cardinal sins. Here we go. We're going back live on air, Love 105 FM. Hey, it's the last segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Wanted to give a shout out to a friend of ours, a fellow agent. His name is Mark Heinzman. Mark works with Coldwell Banker Burnett. And Scott, he's got a broker open company coming up. And this is a home that we just wanted to give a little feature to. It's a 5-bed, 4-bath home, over 3,000 square feet, listed for $593,000. And the description of this, Mark said it's a newer built home. It is 5-bed, 3 bathrooms. He said new sod was just installed and it's still on the lot tax. Fully warranted home, has 4 bedrooms on the second level, a guest bedroom and bath on the lower level. The master en suite bathroom includes a standalone shower, a separate jetted tub to relax in after a long day. Updates featured include a gas fireplace, upgraded blinds throughout, an extra 3-car garage, has space for all the vehicles and storage. Again, if you're looking for a recently finished home, still on lot taxes, and a top-rated school district, this is the home for you. It's 18317 Glacier Way in Lakeville, 18317 Glacier Way for $593,000. Mark is having a broker open this Tuesday, guys, from 12 to 1:30. Tuesday from 12 to 1:30. Be sure to stop out and check that out. A really nice listing. Scott, you know that area. As I look at the photos too, just a super updated, trendy, just a very nice home.
Yeah, it's a cool area, great location, and yeah, you don't see a lot of broker opens anymore, but they're starting to come back. Jen, my ex-wife, just did one. She works for Country Joe Homes, and they had a pretty good turnout. And for those that don't know what a broker open is, it's basically an open house, except there's lunch and typically some kind of drinks that are offered, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a way to kind of get a little buzz.
Yeah.
Let other agents know about it. We are in a market where again, like Scott said, we're starting to see a few more of those. We'll get those emails from people. We'll get the what we call the reverse prospecting emails in our industry. When you have a saved search for your customer on MLS, the listing agent can see that. And so if your customer has hearted or favorited the property, they will reach out to you and say, hey, Scott, I noticed you had a customer that's interested in my listing on James Avenue. We're doing a broker open. Would you guys want to do a showing? So you're kind of reverse trying to get activity, like a reverse offer. I talked to an agent on the team who did a reverse offer for their seller. In other words, they did a couple showings. We love the house, Scott. We really want to be there. So our agent said, hey, let's do a reverse offer. They wrote the offer up and sent it to the buyer's agent. You ever done that?
You lost me completely. You lost me completely.
Reverse offer.
No, I understand, but so who wrote the offer?
The seller, the listing agent. So you as the buyer's agent came to my listing and said, wow, I love this. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're having all this communication, but you never sent an offer.
Okay.
So I thought I'd start the ball rolling down the hill and I send you an offer.
On your listing.
Yes.
From him.
From the seller.
Yeah.
There you go, Bob.
I'm gonna sell. Hey,
did you learn something
so
new today?
So basically, I'll sell it to you for this number.
Yeah. Yes. The reverse offer.
The reverse.
I'm guessing Scott's answer is no.
Yeah,
I've
never done that.
You need to think about it.
Nor will I. I'm still trying to track exactly. So the seller said, "Hey, that buyer's interested. I think we're asking 500. Tell him that we'll sell it to him for 510." And then sent it over.
In this case, actually, I think the deal ended up working out in this case. So the buyer's agent, and I don't know what the deal was with the buyer's agent, if he or she was just not on their game as much. So suddenly the buyer's agent gets an offer in their inbox, say for 480
from their buyer.
From the seller.
As the buyer or as the seller?
As the seller.
So who's the buyer?
Do you need another cup
No,
of coffee?
I'm asking. So who did they put as the buyer?
So that's, yeah. So do they know the names?
Well,
of-
that's what I mean. They had to have a buyer
Well,
on there.
They probably don't know
No.
the names of
Well,
the buyer.
think of it. When you're a buyer's agent, you don't put the seller's name on it.
Well, no, but you put your buyer on the purchase
So
agreement.
in this case, they reverse.
Yes.
You represent the seller. So I put my seller's name and information on there, and I put the terms that they will accept,
With no buyer name.
and then I
No
send
buyer
it to your
name.
buyer.
Send
I
it over there.
reverse offer. Reverse.
Got it. You left the buyer's name absent.
Yes.
Yes.
Hint, hint. Plug in your buyer's name on line 1.
Well, similar to
Yes.
again, when a buyer writes an offer, the seller's name is absent.
Correct.
Scott.
I'm following you.
Scott, we're losing listeners here.
Well, no. Okay. Correct. The seller's name is absent because they haven't signed it yet. But
Yes.
on a purchase agreement, the first line is who is your buyer that is
and this
buying
is
this
a
property.
reverse offer.
So there is no buyer.
You're
There's
right.
no buyer.
Got it. Now I'm following you.
Yeah.
And I will never do that. I can tell you right now.
So it's
you're-
an interesting strategy because I actually think this one works.
Huh.
So again, different markets, what we see, reverse prospecting, what we just talked about, broker opens, more open houses, reverse offers. Anything else we see in this market, Mike?
Scott, thinking that reverse offers are very goofy.
Reverse offer.
What else do we see though, guys, in this market?
Price reduction.
Price
Price
reduction is
in,
good.
in the last
Yeah.
3 years, I probably got 1 a week, and now I probably get 10 a day.
Yeah.
So price reductions are big.
Anything else that we see?
Yeah, I mean, the reverse prospecting, the way that works, where you're in a market that's slowing down, is when you're in a market where you're getting 40 offers on everything, no agent reaches out to you and says, "Hey, we've got a reverse prospecting that fits." When you start getting 10 to 15 of those a day, the market's slowing down because the house isn't selling, and that's why they're reaching out to you.
One thing I have seen an uptick in recently is sellers looking for a quick close. How fast can you close? I've got that question asked to me on the buyer side of things more recently in the last 2 to 3 weeks of, hey, how quickly can you get to closing? It seems like that has come up more. Are you guys seeing that
Yeah.
too more?
Yeah,
Aaron?
For sure.
Hey, we did have a question come in asking about the price on that Jordan listing. 916 Hope Avenue in Jordan is $450,000 for that property. Again, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,100 square feet. Very nice looking home. Again, $450,000 for that property listed by Ashley Hineker.
Who asked that question?
A listener actually just texted it in.
Oh, I was going to say I could send you over a purchase agreement on that. I could
Send a reverse
I can
offer.
send a reverse offer over to you on that listing. in
There you
Jordan.
go.
Yes.
See?
Can you have a third agent involved, right? You got seller, you got buyer, and you have Scott here. That's like, okay, this
Well,
seller.
you could create your own multiple. I could write multiple offers for buyers that actually aren't writing in reverse.
Yeah.
And I could write 5 offers for 5 buyers that are not writing on it, and it would be multiple offers,
Hey,
reverse multiple offers.
Here's my tip as we wrap up for the day. If you, again, are a first time, maybe you're renting right now, maybe you've been renting your entire life, don't hesitate to plug in with a lender like Mike Overson, Illuminate Home Loans, and look at what your options are potentially for buying. Maybe you look at buying a duplex as your first property, as an FHA buyer, live in half the duplex, rent out the other half. Your future self will thank you 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15, 20 years. If this inflationary market is really hitting you hard with your work, with your income, with your job, with everything, one good way to build longer term wealth is to buy something. Now, I know prices may seem like they're higher, but the key is to buy something. And I think, again, Mike, there's never a better time than the present.
Absolutely true. And a lot of people who have a house to sell come to me and think that there's no way that they can buy their next house without selling their current house. But when I show them, it's like, hey, yes, you can buy your next house without selling your current house. So you can make a non-contingent offer on the next house before you sell your current house. I mean, the ease and the hurdles that you eliminate by being able to do that is crazy right now. And so I encourage people that if you want to buy another house, but you think there's no way that you can qualified to carry 2 houses at once, where you're going to have to sell your current house, I encourage you to plug in with us, because I literally just met with someone at 8:30 this morning, did a screen share meeting with this person. They're like, we want to make an offer in this house, but we don't think we can go non-contingent. What does that look like? And I said, you can go non-contingent. Here's what it looks like. Here's how we do it. And they're just like, oh
Look
my
at
God,
this guy.
we're making an
Sweet.
offer.
8:30 on a morning on a Sunday, Scott.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
there's going to be an offer going in. They're going to make an offer, today, as soon as they get it written up with their agent and stuff. It's probably going to be in by noon. And they thought there was no chance that they were going to be able to do that today when they started.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening, saying, "Well, that's risky because you're going to have both offers," I can tell you, in all the years I've done this, I can't think of a house that I've got stuck with. I mean,
Right.
so as long as your house is priced correctly, marketed correctly, and you can control the closing a little bit on the one you purchased, you're going to be able to match those closing dates up.
Applywithmike.com is how you can reach Mike Overson and his team, or again, MN Real Estate Show throughout the week. If you are looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We've got a top agent on the Minnesota real estate team. Wherever you are listening to this show, in Minnesota, in Western Wisconsin, we'd be honored to help you. Again, thank you for listening, everybody. We'll be back next weekend for the Minnesota Real Estate Show throughout the week. MN Real Estate Show, or 612-294-6949. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Take care. Thanks for joining us on social media. Hope it was informative, helpful. Guys, nice job.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Nice job, Michael.
Hey, thanks, Ryan.
You got your Celsius right there.
I got it ready.
He's got his ready. I got it ready. We'll be back next weekend. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.